Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. It's freezing outside, but it's hot in here. Thanks to Dave Cable and BPTV, we're about 90 degrees, and I'm still working on my tan. Can you take that last part off there, Tiger? We got Devin Shea out there. I don't know who else is in there with them. We got John the Tiger Kiger. We appreciate all the volunteers that come out. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. I'm a volunteer. Chip the Prophet Hayner's a volunteer. Volunteer Smoking Jim Frazier. And the last volunteer on our show is little Z, Zach Brenner. And everybody made it early in spite of snow, cold, wind, and everything
Plagues
else.
of locusts and all.
Thanks, Chip. We needed that. Now to our sports. We do talk about sports on here, and thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 everywhere in the Pittsburgh area. Yes, it's TV. I've been telling people that, and I still got about 20 people yesterday that said, "Where's your radio station at?" We're still looking for it too. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7. That's only in Bethel Park. And yes, you can see all of our shows on YouTube 24/7. So I appreciate that. We're going to start our show in a minute, but last year we had our magazine opening and debut that we founded, and I ended up, a friend of mine, Bill Russo, called me up and he said one of the guys that I friended that night, he actually played basketball, and he got killed in an accident just the other day. And this guy wrote an interesting book called Viking Women Don't Care. He was 67 years old. His name's Larry Evans, and he was just a great guy. And just a couple things I wanted to touch on, because he talked to me for about 10 minutes when we were there at the Savoy. And here's some of the people that he knew and actually did things with. He played baseball against Reggie Jackson. He had dinner with Studs Terkel and Don Shula. He partied with Abby Hoffman, Christopher Hitchens, Janis Joplin, Phil Berrigan, Elizabeth McAllister, Pete Seeger, Ralph Nader, Dick Gregory, Ann Feeney, and Molly Rush, who's from a local town of Dormont here, and sort of a protester persona. And then, about how many guys do you know pee next to in a urinal next to a star, and his name was Hugh O'Brien, and this was his son telling the story that his dad was singing the song, the Wyatt Earp theme song, because anybody that would know the older Chip might know it. Hugh O'Brien was in the Wyatt Earp movie, and
Really?
yeah, so then he wrote a book because he was involved in sports and everything all through the area. So I just wanted to give a shout out to his family, my deepest sympathy to him. You guys would see, you saw him there because he did get in a photo or two, because Bill Russo, my friend from grade school, and he still admits that, so he did call me up. So I just wanted to have like a little moment of silence for Larry Evans, dying tragically in a car accident. May he rest in peace, and God bless you. And I know he's going to have fun up in heaven, just with all the people he met and knew. Okay, what's on our mind? We're going to start that right now with Zach Brenner. What's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the talking machine, you gave me this card to read off what's on my mind tonight. I'm sorry, this is the format for the show. What's really on my mind tonight, folks? I'm sorry, folks. I had to lighten it up after that, man. I mean, I
can't believe you said that on TV.
I get a little bummed. Hearing bad news like that. On to some better news. I won't touch too much on Lightning Rod Sulka on what's on my mind, because I know we're going to divulge into it even more later on in the show. So I'll tease you guys at home. For those of you that didn't watch the fight on Friday, I was fortunate enough to be with Al Levine, the talking machine, and Jim Frazier for about 5 minutes on our walk into the arena.
Oh, no, I have to argue already. It was 48 seconds. That was it, because I knew this would come up on the show. So I timed it, and I actually have a timer. John, you can show my watch. The technology still exists. 48 seconds. Never mind. Go ahead. Your point being.
I don't have any point with that. We'll get back into that later. I just wanted to.
No, we won't.
To touch lightly on that.
I was ready. What do you think? I was born yesterday. Go ahead, Z. Come on.
Some breaking news last night. Mr. Bell, who I interviewed, had the Ladavion Bell. I got to interview him at the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Bethel Park Police Pals charity basketball game, and he's just a great kid. I was very happy for the way he was running the ball last night, but his other, apparently his good friend and brother, LeGarrette Blunt, wasn't as happy for Mr. Bell as Mr. Bell was for LeGarrette Blunt when they were riding in the North Hills. But that's a story for another day. But
All these stories are
LeGarrette
for other
Blunt leaves
days.
the field at the end of the fourth quarter before the game is over and goes to the locker room, where I guess Joey Porter took exception to LeGarrette Blunt in the locker room and made him get off the team bus and go back into the locker. And he did for a couple minutes, and then he left again and went back to the bus. So I pretty much had the inkling that the writing was on the wall. And if Mike Tomlin had any gumption about him, that LeGarrette Blunt was going to get sent home packing. And lo and behold, today LeGarrette Blunt got sent packing. So I think that's a good move for the Steelers organization and for Bell, because I think Blunt and his attitude and his blunts might have been stunting the growth of young Bell. But finally, what's on my mind, I wanted to give a shout-out to Kevin Harvick and the number 4 team in NASCAR. I know a lot of people don't follow NASCAR.
That wasn't on the list. Brilliant.
I just wanted to give a shout. He won the championship in dramatic fashion. There's 4 cars that were allowed out of the 43-car field to win the championship on Sunday, and whoever finished best out of those 4 teams won. Well, not only did he win the championship, he won the race. So he all but guaranteed that the title was his. So give a shout out to Kevin Harvick and the number 4 team. Look forward to getting back to Daytona in February, and again, we'll touch a little bit on the prize fighter, Lightning Rod Sulka, later in the show.
Just tell them who won the fight. If they haven't watched or they don't know what's going on, tell them who won the fight.
We'll in the boxing segment,
I like
we'll get to it.
Strong.
You got to stay tuned in the show.
Thanks, Zach. You're learning. Give us a little tease. And it's great you brought up the NASCAR, because my brother-in-law Gary and sister Hope were there, and there's from 2001, they had a nice photo with Kevin Harvick.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
He's
They followed
he's a
around.
Good guy.
That's what they say.
First time I heard of it.
Isn't that your favorite?
Well, if you really want to know how he came about, he took over for the late great Dale Earnhardt, my childhood idol. Kevin Harvick ended up stepping up and driving that car. Okay. So that's how he came about. If Dale Earnhardt doesn't die, we might never know who Kevin Harvick is. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, Dale was my guy.
Thank you.
Black number 3.
Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Hey, I got special green today.
you got to see Levine.
This is just for you.
Oh, that's a
This
special.
is for Z.
I'm keeping that
This
one.
is for Chip. I was at a conference at Duquesne. I was going to hold off, but he always asks for green. There's actually a
Is that Randy
marker at
Grossman?
the end.
Or is it a different one? Because I think Randy Grossman is counting too. No?
I think this is.
Mine's not writing.
Well, it's been cold. It was in the car.
is cold.
It's brand new. Just so you know.
Well, I got handouts for everybody. A gold star for Al Levine, the talking machine. A white one for Lil and there you go, Chipper. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. But
Will this get me into the event?
yeah, you're anything that's dealing with me, you're automatically in.
Oh, yeah.
So hey, in my opinion, I thought LeGarrette Blunt should have walked off the field right after William Gay gave up the double move to Nasty Nate Gay.
Washington.
Nasty Nate Washington. But hey, listen, the bottom line is this. I'm putting 100% blame on the Pittsburgh Steelers organization for LeGarrette Blunt's actions. And because I've said before the Steelers signed LeGarrette Blunt that it would be a mistake to sign him, because he has been a problem on every single team he's ever played on. Even in college back in Oregon, he had some problems. I said back then that if you sign LeGarrette Blunt, this is a guy who's tremendously talented. He's big, he's fast, and he's competitive, and he will never be satisfied sitting in the bench playing behind Le'Veon Bell. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers would have listened to me, they'd have saved another $3.8 million. So, but here's the problem moving forward. And finally, the problem is now that you got rid of LeGarrette Blount, and I thought the Steelers should have re-signed Jonathan Dwyer, who was content with sitting the bench.
What happened to him in Arizona?
Well, I thought the Steelers should have re-signed Jonathan Dwyer. Nothing would have happened to him here. And he was content for sitting the bench behind Le'Veon Bell. And he was a guy. Now, this is the problem. If Le'Veon Bell gets hurt, the Steelers do not have an adequate backup to step in and perform, and that's going to hurt the team. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smokey Jim. Appreciate it.
How did I get this cap off? Just pull it off.
Yeah, just pull it. Screw that off. Let him figure it out later.
Oh,
Chip,
I'm not trying to get
what's on your
with you
mind,
anymore.
Chip Hayner?
Well, thank you very much, Alan. And no big surprise that Smoke and Jim would take the Pittsburgh Steelers organization to task for LeGarrette Blount. It's consistent with what he always does. But, just to really touch on one last thing, in regards to that, Josh Harris. Remember that name, my friend, Josh Harris. He was an undrafted free agent that the Steelers put on their practice squad. He's going to be the next Willie Parker.
Whoa.
But, want to know what's on my mind is, lots of goings on there in the baseball world, especially as far as it pertains to my beloved Pittsburgh Pirates. And, oh, yes, I did re-up my season ticket package for next year.
God bless.
So I'll be there enjoying another season of winning baseball. But, first off, I want to wish a fond farewell to Russell Martin. Just like I said on the show last week, if it got to the point where it was 5 years and $80 million, wish him well. And I do wish him well and his family, and I hope he has fun spending every dime of that $82 million. I think the Toronto Blue Jays severely overpaid for him. He's going to make $7 million next year, $10 million the following year, and then $20 million each of the next 3 seasons. And Toronto's going to find out that, it's going to be left holding the bag. And, good luck for them. Also want to welcome back A.J. Burnett, back on the mound again with the Pittsburgh Pirates. One last hurrah. I think actually it was a really smart pickup for the money they're putting out for him. They're going to get a guy. He's an innings eater. He'll be a good 3rd or 4th starter. He's not going to be your ace. I was pretty happy with that pick. And then the Pirates, before Russell Martin even made his decision, had already picked up a backup catcher who could possibly end up starting. Very good defensive catcher, great pitch framer, which are 2 attributes that the Pirates management really holds dear. And, we'll see what happens with him. So we're going to move forward. I really think that they're making smart moves now. They are making moves now, something they got criticized heavily for last year, and I don't think they're done yet. I still think I wouldn't be too surprised to see Frankie Liriano pitching on opening day for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I wouldn't be too surprised if he ends up back on the mound. But I'm happy with what the Pirates are doing, the direction they're moving, and I'm just looking forward to more interesting occurrences over the next couple of months in the off season, and of course. Opening days, 160 days away.
The Pirates ought to change their name to Chief.
We'll get to that in a segment there in a second.
Before Olivina tells us what's on his mind, I have a question real quick because I'll forget by the time we get to the Pirates segment, if we even talk Pirates tonight. Now that the Blue Jays have signed Russell Martin, do the Pirates now get a first-round draft pick?
Yes, what we will get a pick at the end of the first round of the draft, which will supplement the pick that we already have. So we're going to add 2 first-round draft picks in the draft next year. And if somebody does the same thing and signs Francisco Liriano, we'll also get
they will.
So we could potentially have 3 first-round draft picks.
We will. I'm predicting here.
Could potentially.
All right. That's good. What's on your mind, Levine?
I don't know. You guys covered so much of it.
Oh.
That Harvick thing was at the top of no, it wasn't. I couldn't say it. But baseball was there. We'll cover that in a segment because I always like to pat myself on the back. I said there's no way the Pirates are even making anything serious over $50 million. And he got 82. God bless Russell Martin.
Well, they did make an offer over.
You know, the Blue Jays
I'm just being
overpaid,
sarcastic,
though.
yeah.
They overpaid way.
Well, what I look at is, I like to talk CBAs and contracts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
What's the guaranteed money? Did they do something like Bobby Bonilla,
Exactly.
where they're still paying him
the 82
forever?
million, the 82 million is guaranteed.
Well, just like how do they're saying 20 million? Is it going to be Canadian money? Was this Canadian money? Because I didn't hear anything on that. But that's part of what was on my mind. We're on baseball, and I like talking baseball this time of year. But some of those points that you bring up are great. Liriano will be gone because he's going to go to the highest bidder. Why wouldn't he? Volquez should definitely run out of time with whatever high bid he can get, because who knows how long he's going to last. I mean, A.J. Burnett, since I'm not getting deep into the Pirates, but since he come back, it was as I predicted. Once they start getting an injury, look what happened. Who would think he'd get a hernia? But at his age, these things start happening. You're at the top level. He's a competitive guy. There's no quitting him. Look at how many starts he had. What, over 30-plus starts? And he was injured for half of those. So he still started. To me, if he's in halfway decent health, I think we could get 1
What
year
were the
out of
financial
him.
details of that Burnett deal?
He said, I'm not going to take 12.7. I want to come back for 8.5. I'll be here. And they go, okay.
He turned down $12.5 million to not pitch for the Phillies. Came back to Pittsburgh for $8.5.
Well, kudos to A.J. Burnett for that.
Well,
Kudos to Neil Huntington.
and kudos to his wife for telling him he had to move near Philadelphia, near their home. And kudos for her saying, no, it's okay to come to Pittsburgh.
To reunite with
I mean,
Martin.
I'm confused, but that's what's on my mind. Who cares about that? We got a Pirate pitcher. It's an innings eater, baby. So, and if he gets back to striking people out again, look out.
Well,
Well,
he came back the team to reunite with his catcher, and the Pirates don't even re-sign him.
He didn't care about his catcher.
well, do you want to know something about the Russell Martin signing? This will be the last thing I'll say about this. You know, the other two teams that were very heavily into the bidding for Russell
Cubs.
Martin were the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs and the Pirates, as well as Toronto. The Dodgers and the Cubs, two teams that have a plethora of money. They actually print money.
Means a lot.
They balked at the 5th year on the contract. Chicago offered him 4 years, $64 million. He wanted the 5th year. They said no way for 5 years, and that's why he ended up
The
in
7
Toronto.
and 10 million sounds good. The next 2 years, the 7 and 10 million sound good.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Pirates
all
still
guaranteed
wouldn't
money. It's
I
all
would be
guaranteed money.
stunned if he finished his career as a Blue Jay. Probably in 2 or 3 years, he'll get traded in a fire sale at the trade
Well,
deadline.
if he
And then the
would have-
Blue Jays will be on the hook CBA for a boatload of that
Yeah.
salary.
Well,
Bingo.
a little
That's what
We'll
I
be
had.
back with the Buccos.
A little known,
$3 million.
a little known fact is that if Russell Martin would have stayed with Pittsburgh and they would have signed him for 3 years, he would have ended up with a no trade clause because he would have been 10-year player
one
in the
team.
league, 5 years with one team. Then you have a no trade clause in your contract. He's going to Toronto. There is no trade clause in his contract, so they could deal him whenever they want.
Well, that's why I said with guaranteed money and everything else, it can get crazy.
Well, according to my math,
Okay.
$16 million times 5 is 79 million, right? Something
It's
like
80.
that. 80 million?
Yeah, it's round numbers.
No, well, 80. and that's
But they were going to keep stringing them along.
Yeah,
They were going to keep stringing them along at $15 million a year.
But that's
Use
what
that
he
new
wanted.
pen.
That's what he wanted.
Use that new pen.
He wanted. The Pirates was willing to go $16 million a year, right?
Yeah,
For
the
him.
Pirates
one
were
year at a
willing to
time,
pay.
though.
So
But,
what's the
but he
difference?
wanted
15.3.
5 million. He wanted 5 years. That's what he wanted.
That's what he wanted.
It's
He
his
wanted to be
one-
Yeah, that's
locked
what
up
he
for
earned
5
it.
years.
You know what? You're gonna end up paying for that because here's
You're
what's
gonna
going to
lose with
happen.
him.
Toronto's going to try to trade him in a couple of years, and nobody's going to want to trade for him because they don't want to pick up that $20 million paycheck.
They're going to lose another
Exactly.
10 games a year this year. They lost. They
Oh,
back
get
in
outta
the 80s,
here.
now they're back in
Get
the
out of
70s.
here. You
Hey,
were
that's
under
that
84.
bad.
Just like
that
they were
bet.
going to lose again last year and start
Make
another
that
20
bet.
years straight.
Here, what are you,
So we
over
know where,
or
we know
under
where
84?
your predictions on baseball go.
Yeah, no credibility. Let's move on.
Stick to the NFL scout.
Smoking Jim forgot we do a little promotion here, so I'll do my promotion segment right before we get to your other stuff here. And I do have one of my tricks, one of my bag of tricks here, Chip, that you'll like very much. So stay tuned. Can you get a close-up on this? Because I can't even read it here.
Yeah, I didn't bring my readers. I'm
And
squinting.
this is for December 13th, Blue Line Grill. What's the event called, Smoking Jim?
Achieving Greatness Award Ceremony, the first
No.
annual.
Okay, you just read it out because this gold is blinding me.
See, I got a white one. I got a black and white one. We go old school. No, it's Achieving
Thanks.
Greatness Incorporated in conjunction with Highmark proudly presents the first annual Achieving Greatness Award Ceremony, where Al Levine's father will be honored too, and I'm going to
Yeah.
show up in a referee outfit.
And they got special guest MCs, Kevin Cameron, Ms. Rita Gregory, our own Smoking Jim Frazier, who works on 18 different shows, is seen everywhere in America. No, is it 19 now? I forget, but we're close. And Miss Debbie Norrell.
And I like how there's apostrophe, right next to them, because you don't know they might not be appearing. They might not be appearing.
An asterisk.
It's scheduled, asterisk or next to them because it's subject to change without notice, like a boxing card. Al Levine, you show up with a suit, buddy, because you might be in.
I already
as a
heard I
guest
was, then
MC.
I'm out. So I'm not counting anything. And there's a strong rumor out there, depending on what happens in the next few days, whether BPTV will be filming the event. We don't know. We're negotiating, and it's not looking good. We will see what happens.
I also
wait, it's looking good now. I think something come my way.
Hey, I want to take notice too, folks. The bottom two squares say McDonald's, in stars. So shout out to McDonald's
Don't worry about
coming
that.
through in the clutch
Those
in
are
any
just
neighborhood.
details.
You guys hold it down.
Don't let those facts get in the way of any of those opinions on that sheet there, please.
Achieving Greatness Incorporated.
That's that Bill Neal's new corporation starting out strong in the neighborhood. Now, on a little lighter note and something good for all the homeless people, Aaron Ward sent this to me. And this is for Friday. If you want to deliver food, if you could just get a quick shot at the Bloomfield Sandwich Shop. Very popular. She's done this before. She delivers meals on Thanksgiving and other people. They need more people to help out. And if you're able to help out, would be great. They need more delivery drivers and people to help package all the items. And they would also consider if you donate money. So if you want to donate, contact Aaron Ward at 412-478-8992. Smoking Jim Frazier, that's your business partner.
What time is that thing on Friday?
That is just to sign up, and then they're going to have a delivery schedule for Thanksgiving on when you're going to do it. It's a free Thanksgiving dinner for the elderly and families in need. And Mama Rose and her crew have done this for several years running, and the list is increasing. There's over 130 addresses through the greater Pittsburgh area. So it's really a great cause, and it does help people out. But that's just so you can sign up for
Let's
this.
do it, Levine. Sign us up.
There you go.
If you do it, I'll do it.
Whoa. All right, if you're my wheelman, I'll deliver like crazy.
I think we could get to Bloomfield and we could get to Altoona and by way of Greensburg, by way of Calumet.
All right, enough of that. Then we're going to be at Duke's, so I better at least give a promo here.
Do you got those? Did you rearrange them?
No, not at all. No chronological order. I'm going to try to just skip through it, but I just want to show you what I'm going to read here. We're trying to promote, and this is what you'll like. You can preview that.
Scoops.
Yeah. John, get this. This is for Duke's Rib House and Grill.
He's not getting it. It looks. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. There's the different days that I'm going to discuss, and I'll keep it short. Since Duke's and Rib House and Grill host us on the 2nd and 4th Monday of each month, book your holiday parties. For information, call Duke's Rib House and Grill, 412-207-1235, or call the best bartender, who's our friend, Kelly, at 412-654, Jim, don't write this number down, 6690.
What is it?
654-6690. And that's Kelly
I'm gonna text her
with
right
a
now.
Y. They have a special event on Thanksgiving Eve. It's called Drunksgiving, and it starts at 8 p.m. Thanksgiving Day, the bar opens up at 6 p.m. So if you need to get out of the house and you're too tired or something, don't go. And then on December 20, we got to go, Duke's Christmas Party. Wednesday the 17th. I guess everybody that hears me talking about it's invited there. So that's the 17th of December at 8 p.m. Then on the 24th, that's Christmas Eve. They call it Duke's Bloody Mary Party at 8 p.m. So there's some parties there. Then they have New Year's Eve party. Of course, that's Wednesday the 31st of December, 8 o'clock on. New Year's Day, this is unbelievable. I don't remember hearing stuff. Chip, you're a bartender. I got to ask you on this. Open for regular business on New Year's Day. What's your thought on that, buddy?
My thought on that is I don't know how much business they'll be doing. Usually most people are nursing a pretty wicked hangover, but I guess if you're subscribed to the
Hair of the
dog, well, have at it.
The who?
Hair of the dog. The hair of the dog that bit you.
Get it back going again. That's
Exactly. And then we have Smoking Jim. You got to contact one of the people that works on the New Pittsburgh Courier with you.
Okay.
Diane Daniels wanted to meet you. She hasn't met you. She's written for him for years.
Wow.
And she contacted me first. We're the first ones to get a flyer and the scoop on this.
Okay.
And a pun is intended on Scoop Al Oliver.
Yes, sir.
And she said, could you write a story about him? Now, with your best buddy and brother, Claudio Rosano, he's buddies with him. Last year we tried to get him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yes, sir.
this is Al Scoop Oliver has written a book, Don't Strike Out. He's going to be at the Jerome Bettis Grill, 36. That's at 393 North Shore Drive, right on the North Shore there. Can't miss it. Saturday, November 29th, 4 to 6 p.m. Mark your calendars. We've been invited to come down and meet him.
Me and you?
Yeah, if we want. So here's the event. Here's one of my baseball heroes growing up. This guy could hit a ball, getting off the bus, going to the dugout, anywhere. He could
Almost
just hit
3,000 career hits, right?
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
303 average. I think it was 20. They put on here, I think 29-13 or something. I don't know. No,
He
they
played
didn't.
two positions for the Pirates. He played
Yeah.
center field and first base.
He was a good first baseman too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our little special here, and we're going to start going into
Did you
it.
make the announcement on where we're gonna be on the North Shore?
No, I
Has
didn't
that
make
been
that
announced?
yet. That's
Okay.
coming.
All right.
That'll be coming. I'll do
Okay.
a special on that one.
All right.
You know what? I better get this out of the way. Smoking Jim, I finished this book
Did you?
last week.
The reading machine.
There's the reading machine. This is Bob Burns' book, All the Way Down. I recommend it. Smoking Jim, I'll fill you in on what happened there.
Okay, thanks.
Okay?
I appreciate it.
It's got
I
no
can't wait
pictures?
to read it. They got
No.
an autograph from me.
Cliff
For me.
notes.
See that?
But thanks for letting me read that. Since we got Smoking Jim distracted, let's get into fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. I appreciate it. And thanks for the book back. I can't wait to get back into it.
I know you did look at the front cover and the inside cover.
Can't wait.
Just
to get
his
into
name.
it.
He knows that. That's one of his aliases. And then it's right under all the way down to Smoking Jim. All the way down.
It's a heck of a story.
It's a hardback. I like that. Okay.
It helps support all the photos that he has.
The barbed wire on the front of it's riveting.
But the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, and we're going to go all the way to the Hall of Fame class of 15 that's going to be inducted. And I tell you what, it was one of the hardest things
That you did?
I ever had to do. And we're only going to induct 10 participants this year, active living members. But it was just too hard to get down to 10. And so I said, let's do 15. And I'm just going to read the names real quick. In the banquet, like I said, is December 13th, Saturday,
Blue Line
December
Grill.
13th. And it's going to be hot. And Sam Clancy's going in. Gus Cantonese is going in. Ricky Coleman, Lloyd Weston, The Rock Robinson, who will be on our show Monday at Duke's. You guys get a chance to meet him. Just a little bit about Rock. He's written a book. Also endorsed by Tiger Woods, his 20-year anniversary for his Golf in the Hood organization, teaching young disadvantaged kids how to play golf. He does a great job. He's a great golfer. Dwight Clay, the Iceman, shot heard around the world.
Yeah.
Jennifer Bruce, still the all-time leading scorer, men or women at the University of Pittsburgh. Actress, model, you got to meet her, Cindy Dallas, lives out in Los Angeles, California.
She's coming in.
She's flying in. She'll be in a movie this year. She's in a national commercial right now, and she can't wait to meet Al Levine, the talking machine.
Yeah.
Brandy Hogan, Janet Davis, and you can see there's a lot of females on here for some reason. Janet
Who had the only vote on that?
Major Harris is number 11. Mary Myers, and everybody heard of Major Harris. Mary Myers is number 12. Orrin Richburg is number 13. We got a doctor in the house, Ramon Hart. Darrell Porter is number 15A. And Phyllis Jones is number 15B. So those are your 15 Hall of Fame class that's going in. And that's my fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
And that's part of where we get the fiction, folks. I was hoping he'd go 10A, B, C, D, and E. But he beat me up on that. He did 15, A and B. He did 17. We went from 10 to 17.
And those are just the athletes that they couldn't recruit from the City League to Gateway.
That's it. and just real quick, a 30-second thing.
Okay.
And and this is not shock because I've already sent these two guys, Facebook messages. We were Facebook friends. I don't know if we still are. But Jimmy Big Cat Williams, who was a superstar for the Chicago Bears, and Russell Friedman, who was the starting left tackle for the Denver Broncos when John Elway played. I said, as long as I'm on the committee, and as you see, they're not going in along with Curtis Martin. As long as I'm on the committee, those two guys will never get in the City League Hall of Fame because when they were in high school their senior year, they came to Gateway and roughed up some of my old heads on the football field. And you don't come to Ann Marino Stadium like you own it. So as long as I'm on the committee, guys will never get in. Then that's what's on my mind.
Hold it, who won the games?
Gateway won. Yeah, you don't lose that. And we got assistant coaches or the referees. You ain't beating Gateway at Gateway.
Just checking on that.
We threw them out of the game third quarter. Pancake blocks was illegal come after halftime.
Hey, is Gateway at Heinz Field this upcoming weekend?
That'll be in the high school segment if we get there.
Nope.
My coach will be there.
No moss.
Coach Anna Marino, the first coach inducted into the WPIL Hall of Fame. I'll be sitting next to him.
We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Let's get Chip's trivia time. What do you have?
Well, what do I got this week? Last night, the Steelers pulled out a come from behind victory, and they did it on the back of Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell did something that was only been done 4 other times in Pittsburgh Steeler history by 3 other running backs. Le'Veon Bell rushed for 204 yards last night, and the other running backs that have also rushed for 200 yards in Steeler uniform, Willie Parker got it twice. John Frenchie Fuqua did it once, and the Hall of Famer John Henry Johnson did it as well. But seeing how, not making light of that feat last night, and I think it's admirable. I wanted to go over the top 10 running backs in Steeler history. I thought it would be kind of nice to dredge up some memories.
Bullet Bill Dudley never did it?
Well, the first person who's ranked number 10 on the Steelers' all-time rushing list is Byron Bam. Oh, excuse me, that 7 pounds of weed in my trunk is for personal use. Morris.
Why?
Number 10. He was a Steelers running back from 1995 to 1996. He amassed 1,395 yards and 16 touchdowns in his 2 seasons with the Steelers. It's a shame that he had to keep that all for personal use. Number 9, Frank Pollard, from 1980 to 1988, with a total of 3,988 rushing yards. Next, somebody that's in the Hall of Fame of ours. I don't know if he's in the National League of Football. Dick Hoke. Yeah. Dick Hoke, who spent 45 years working for the Steelers organization, 10 as a player, 35 years as a coach. I met him last summer. My company takes care of his property. He's one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. Sit and talk to you about whatever you'd like anytime.
And the second greatest player ever at Jeanette next to Terrell Pryor.
And whose
And
roster?
somebody's opinion.
Whose roster is he on? Okay.
Somebody's opinion.
Okay.
He's on Gateway's roster.
Number 7 on that list was John Henry Johnson, who was in the NFL Hall of Fame. John Henry Johnson was a Steelers running back from 1960 to 1966. He was the first Steeler running back to rush for 1,000 yards in a season.
A lot of afro sheen on
And
that
when he retired, he was ranked as the 4th all-time running back in NFL history.
Wow.
At the time that he retired.
What was his total yards?
His total yards, I do not have it. Sorry
That's all right.
about that.
Yeah, you gave me a
Then
little
number 6 on our list would be fast. Willie Parker, never drafted, free agent out of North Carolina. From 2004 to 2009, 5,379 yards and 24 touchdowns. Next on the list was The Rock, Rocky Bleier. Rocky Bleier from 1968 to 1980 was running back tandem of Franco Harris for
What year
Super
did you say?
Bowl.
68.
1968 to 1980.
Nice run.
Well,
He went to the war.
He went and fought in Vietnam. He
Yeah.
was on the
Yeah.
Steelers. He
He
went
missed
to
a little
Vietnam,
bit.
wounded
Served
in
our
combat, came back and still made the team.
Out of Notre
Should be in
Dame.
the Hall
So
of
that
Fame.
was number 5. And number 4, Merle Hodge, famous for his being on TV.
Yeah.
Merle Hodge from 1987 to 1993 amassed 5,272 yards, 34 touchdowns. And now we get to the top 3. Top 3, number 3, Barry Foster.
Greatest running back and still.
Barry Foster set a record for most consecutive 100-yard rushing games in NFL history. Barry Foster ran for 3,943 yards and only 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty amazing thing. Number 2 on our list.
Wow.
Number 2, Franco Harris. Hall of Fame running back. At the time, he was the second leading running back with 11,950 yards rushing, 91 touchdowns. And number 1, the bus, Jerome Bettis. Jerome Bettis was with Pittsburgh from 1996 till 2005. He amassed 10,571 yards as a Steeler running back. And, geez, I can't read. I believe 8. No, he had more than that.
We're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 18 touchdowns, or is that 38? But either way, he had. Or is that 78?
78. It looks
78 touchdowns, and that was as a starter with the Steelers. The rest of his statistics were amassed with the St. Louis Rams.
Right.
But just thought I'd take a little trip down the old
How
Steeler
many
running back
touchdowns did
tree.
it say Barry Foster had in his career?
He had 3 in one game against the Jets. So
According to what when I copied down, I could have been wrong.
Yeah, it was
I've made
Well,
mistakes.
there's your
with it.
fiction and fact, man, from everywhere. Thanks, Chip. I appreciate the trivia.
And Bettis played. He was still in Los Angeles. He was Los Angeles Rams. They were in St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'd moved over into St. Louis in 90.
Right after Bettis, the year Bettis was traded, I know they were in St. Louis.
Okay.
But he was Hollywood there his rookie year.
An update.
Great job, though.
Ollie
Great
Mata,
job.
he's playing tonight, just like they said he was.
He scored a goal.
No, Devin said he's playing. So.
Who?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
was in goal.
That was 2 weeks ago. He had a cancerous tumor removed from his thyroid.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
some
2 weeks.
That's some hard. That's some
Those are
hard.
world-class
players
athletes.
Are a different breed. I
All
just
right,
have
folks.
to tell you.
Barry Foster had 26 career rushing touchdowns in
I
his
stand
career.
corrected.
That's an instant update from our
That was
statistician
great. That
tonight.
was great stuff.
Z time. What's
So
on Z time?
I loved Barry Foster. He was one
He
of
was,
my
he
favorites.
was the best
Yeah,
running
he's-
back that's still
I
in
mean,
history.
that
in
I
my
could
opinion.
remember, until the bus came along
You
and the
don't like
combination.
Franco.
And I hope to be sitting next to him in the
But-
press box because his son plays for
But you guys,
Central Catholic.
you guys could correct me if I'm wrong though. When at a time when Barry Foster ran the ball, Bill Cowher predominantly favored. There was always another kind of back that was like a stronger, even like the fullback that would get carries like in the goal line and in the red zone.
A bigger
So-
back.
Yeah, bigger back. So I'm sure if Barry Foster, played today, he would get a lot more, carries in the red zone and probably would have scored more touchdowns.
Today, Le'Veon Bell came in the game with 1 touchdown all season rushing.
And look at the play calling that's been going on with your boy Todd
We'll
Haley.
talk Steelers in a minute. You got Z time. What's your Z time?
Well, Z-Time is going to take us back to this past Friday at the Console Energy Center where, like I said, a couple minutes in to the arena, I lost Levine and Smoking Jim. Somehow they ended up down ringside.
Hard work.
Ringside.
Hard
There's
work.
only maybe 20
Hard
chairs. 20
Hard
chairs
work.
around the only thing square is the boxing ring, according to Jimmy Mad Dog Savetic.
And he stole that line. Go ahead.
I'm sure he did.
He
But,
did.
in this city, man, he was the first one that I heard that from. So we'll set the tone. Obviously, all week everybody saw Monty, My Life is a Movie, Mesa Clay, talking smack, mixing it up. Comes into the weigh-in Thursday, 2.6 pounds overweight. So that was the first indication to me that, hey, maybe he's trying to hype himself up for this, Nothing but respect from world-class boxing, Tom Yankello, Monty Clay. So no problems there. We get to Friday, 1.5 pounds overweight at the morning weigh-in. So now not only twice in 24 hours, So how serious are you about this bout? But we won't go on Channel 4 and talk about that, and tell everybody that. So we'll leave that between me and you. Wink, wink. But great card. I got to walk in with Jim Frazier and Al Levine, and then like I said, I didn't get to see them, but I got asked a lot about where's Smoking Jim and where's Al Levine, but I filled in graciously back at the media table representing Pittsburgh Sportsline, KissingTheCanvas.com, and In Your Face MMA, in addition to Still Nation Boxing. So I did a good job filling in for those guys. I'm looking forward to one Monday soon filling in for Al Levine as the moderator of Al Levine's Pittsburgh Sportsline TV show. But now let's get back to the fights. Some great fights. I didn't hear anything much from these two gentlemen to my right about it other than the bloodbath, which was Rod Soka versus Monty Clay.
Hold it 1 second. I have to do a little timeout on your thing. A lot of this stuff's about Zach, and he does a great job. But the reason he didn't hear us is he wouldn't even come over to try to check with us as we were trying to get a seat for him. But did he even ask? No. So, I mean, that's part of it. Because I did see your man Mike Tyson and talk to him and his bodyguard.
Well, hey, last time
But
it
we
was me,
couldn't
this
even-
time it was you. So as long as, one of us is carrying the flag, it's a team sport. I have no problem. I get to make up for it in a few minutes on my way to the ring. Al Levine and Smoking Jim Frazier were sitting next to it. I was actually in it.
That sounds like a good little season in the ring.
My point, I actually won 3 bets on that. When somebody goes, we saw Zach, but we don't see him with you. I said, we couldn't get the kid in here. He's going to go in the ring. You can't get a media pass and then go in the ring. I said, I'll make anybody a bet that he's in the ring holding more than 1 belt. So I won. It was a great night to see that. Now go ahead.
Well, so, like I said, I held it down at the media table. I was with Handsome Jim R.J., George Phillips, my younger brother Addison, and a fine young lady, Liz Butler, that Smoking Jim didn't get to see because he wasn't over there with me. But, hey, So the fight starts, great card on Friday night. Everything was, set up great for this fight. Monty Clay and Rod Soka, 235-pounders. Monty's been in over 40-plus pro fights. I mean, the kid is a warrior. You can't buy hard at the grocery store. But it went all 10 rounds as predicted by me. I wasn't predicting a knockout by either guy, either way. I knew it was going to go the distance. And, you know, I tell you what, it was one of the greatest fights that I ever had the privilege of watching in person. And I've heard a lot of people, you know, also say that too. But, you know, I've been to more fights in the last 10 years than most. So great performance by both, even though I feel, you know, Monty's style, he came in a lot with his head, and there was a lot of headbutting, and there was a lot of stuff going on that, you know, isn't, you know, typical in most boxing matches. But as far as hand speed goes, Rod Solka has some of the fastest hands. They don't call him Lightning Rod Solka for nothing, man. Some of the combinations, I mean, Monty was eating that jab, you know, for round after round, and I give Monty a lot of credit. Like I said, he's a warrior, but at the end of the day, Rod Solka won every round in my card and mostly every round on the judges. Came away with an ununanimous decision, retained his WBC belt, and, you know, look for a big fight coming up here, you know, January, February from Lightning Rod Solka with Golden Boy. As for Monty, nothing but the best, man. You tried to hype yourself up to mythological proportions. Sometimes you fall short. The standard is the standard. That's my little Mike Tomlin thing for you, bro. But like I said, great performance. Sammy Vasquez, you know, got in there. Who can? He put, you know, he dispatched
2
this guy
minutes
pretty
and
quick.
35 seconds.
Who you guys saw at the press conference didn't really back up all that junk he was talking coming all the way from Panama. So sometimes it's hard, but big things expected from Sammy Vasquez. I also got a call from the ABA, and that's the American Boxing Association, for anybody that doesn't know. I might become the East Coast representative, more so the Pennsylvania representative for the ABA. So we're in negotiations.
All right.
So
Oh, that's huge.
By time with
The
all
wheels-
that hard work.
the wheels never
That
stop
hard
turning.
work.
The wheels never stop turning. So, like I said, I just want to give a shout out to my brother, Lightning Rod Solka. Big fight, big win on Friday, and that's what we got for Z Time. And I want to also give a shout out to the genius, Bruce Arians out there in Arizona. I don't know how you're doing it, brother. I know you're not going to do it in the playoffs, but I like you on Sundays right now in the regular season.
All right.
Hey, and on that football note, the top four college football teams just got elected.
Uh-oh.
And here's the odd thing about it: the top four teams don't surprise me. Alabama, Oregon, Florida State, Mississippi State. Mississippi State lost to Alabama this weekend. Florida State is undefeated, and it's in the third spot.
That's crazy.
And behind Alabama and Oregon. So I think there's people are getting a little
Alabama's
tired.
number one?
Alabama's number one. Oregon
Alabama
number two.
beat number one, though,
Florida
so they deserve
State.
to be number one. You know, that's my feeling on it.
Yeah, you know,
Alabama,
this week.
it's going to cancel itself out, though, you know, because they're going to continue.
It'll change every week, and it's creating more interest for
Who's
college
four?
football. Number 4,
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
Oh,
Number
they should
5
be
is
out of there.
TCU.
They should be out there, but TCU shouldn't be in there either. The old Arizona State lost, so they got bounced down. Where's Ohio State at?
Ohio
That's the
State's
entry.
number 6.
Okay.
Arizona State dropped to
They're
number
always
13.
stocking.
But that's the great thing about the format, though, is that now instead of getting, you know, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to play, and then those 2 out of the 4 are going to be the
The
play
only
for the
the only
championship.
undefeated team is the defending national champs, and they're 3. Come on.
What do you
They
mean?
got a weak schedule,
What
though.
about
I
the
mean,
Thundering Herd?
Yeah, I love it. Coda, the quarterback, Coda. Remember that name?
Come on, we are Marshall.
They got a
right?
great quarterback.
and how about let's give a shout out to that running back from Wisconsin that broke
Over
LaDainian
400
Tomlinson's
yards.
single game
406
rushing
yards
record out there.
rushing.
And
Wisconsin can't win without Paul Chris.
Neither can Pitt.
With them.
I think Pitt could win without Paul
Well,
Chris.
yeah.
If Paul
Right.
Chris just walked away like LeGarrette Blunt, Pitt
Wisconsin-
might play better.
Wisconsin ain't missed a
No,
beat.
no, since we brought up Paul Chris, you know, once again, we've got a Pitt team that's striving to win 6 games to make their season all seem to make sense. You know, if all you ever do is strive to be mediocre, you're going to come up short more often than not. It's a shame what Pitt's done with their season.
That's true. No doubt.
I mean,
I got to
what's
go
the-
back to boxing for a minute
Yes,
or
let's
two
do
to
it.
thank a lot of people. Iron Mike Productions, Mike Tyson, Frank Brown, Sammy Vasquez team, Rod Solka's team. It was just awesome to be there. Dan Jay, finally met him in person. And Steel Nation magazine, MMA expert, is now becoming a boxing expert. Handsome Jim J. And a special shout out to Sean Eisler photography and graphics, and just Sean Eisler for taking photos. A lot of great things he does with the camera and the graphics there, and he's all around getting photos of our guys. Not so much me this one, because I wanted to shine the light on Little Z and Smoking Jim Frazier. So Smoking Jim.
Oh, there's an
snuck
awesome
one.
picture with you and the USS Cunningham.
Yeah, that's
so
what I was
that's a
gonna
great
say,
picture.
Well,
Sean Eisler did a great job capturing all that B3 in there, man. It's
I
all
didn't
in
see
there.
none of me.
You got
Well,
great
because you
complexion.
ran.
Oh.
You ran as soon as
That's
you're
what happens
on.
when you leave, Batman.
Yeah. So that's what happens. I got one guy trying to get in, one guy trying to get out.
Did you give a shout out to Frank Brown too?
Yeah, I did. If you listen to that,
Well,
right at the
how am I gonna
beginning.
listen to it?
Right at the beginning, I just said that.
Okay. I heard Mike Tyson Productions. I'm sorry.
Then Mike Tyson, Frank Brown for doing that.
Okay.
Then our man George Phillips, Robert Alexander, the ring announcer, another great job. It was a pleasure talking to him. It was also his anniversary. He spent it with his wife here in Pittsburgh.
That's nice.
Loved every minute of it.
That's
So
nice.
a lot of these personal things in interaction. Ernie Sharif, the boxing referee. I never saw a shirt from the chest down soaked in blood. It was just amazing to see that. And it wasn't all Rod's blood. The Pittsburgh Sports Line did a DNA test. 90% Monty Mesa Clay, and it started as early as the first round. There's no controversy on that. I saw the fight up close and personal. Monty has the biggest heart of a warrior
Yes, sir.
who's 5'2" tall. The guy is unbelievable. I wouldn't want to meet him anytime because he's not going to stop throwing punches even if he can't see you.
Yeah.
This guy, his heart is just unbelievable, and he never stopped throwing punches. Rod Salka was not afraid to brawl. So any of the rumors that are out there about this not brawling, what do you call a guy that's thrown 6 punches in the center of the ring right at a guy to every one? Now, they both had almost 800 punches.
800.
And there was about 28%.
Really?
Yeah, that was the final. It was
It was
700.
790 something,
yeah.
and
Rod outpunched him by about
28% of Rod's punches hit, 24% of Monty Mesa Clay. To me, I don't like the opinions that get in the way of the facts, and a lot of them, I don't think they counted a lot of these punches too. Rod was hitting combinations of 4 and 5 in a row. Smoking Jim corrected me a couple times, said it was a 5 flurry, and I was counting 6. There were many 4 after every one that he was getting hit with. And sure, there's headbutting, but I got to disagree with Zach. I've been watching fights my whole life. There's always been headbutting and elbows, and now they get away with it because they're so quick on this. They're actually swiping their head into the guy. Instead, before it was just going up into it. And they're giving these elbows, and they're pushing, and they're holding down like Ali. So they've all watched the films and the tape, as you call it. So it was a brawl. It was a bloodbath, but it was a boxer against a brawler. Like I said, it would go to the decision. I also said that it would go the full 10 rounds. It would be a decision at the end. And Rod was in the best shape that, like I claimed before. We saw him at camp a couple times. This guy could have done 20 rounds.
Wow.
When I listened to it, I actually watched YouTube, the film of it with the announcers.
I did too.
And they kept saying at the beginning, we don't know if he can continue to do this and have the foot speed and the shape to do it. Well, after the 3rd round, they're still saying it. The 4th round, the 5th round, they started to become believers. By the 10th round, they said he was still boxing and punching like he did in the 1st round.
Well, I heard Rod say after the fight, he said, I could have kept on going. There's no, you know,
Oh, it was
10 rounds, he could have fought 15.
Well, in Monty's defense, he said he would have kept going because he didn't go down. He got wobbled a couple times where I thought it might have been over, and like Smoking Jim was right there next to me. It's sad when you see your friends fighting, but I'm proud of Pittsburgh and the boxing community with trying to grow the boxing and not just make it separate.
But
So, I mean, that's what's a nice
to
thing.
add some positiveness to it, though. After the fight, you know, of both camps, Monty was nothing but a class act. Tom Yankilla actually came into the locker room after the fight to congratulate Rod. So, you know, and as far as a rematch goes,
You know what?
Big
After
money.
a fight, it's easy to
to make
say
that
it.
go again.
But why would these guys want to beat each other
I
up
don't wanna
if they
see
can
it.
make money elsewhere?
I don't want to see it.
You know, there's no reason to it. I don't see who would gain in this, what even would be the point of it, when they can move up and go wherever they want. Dan Jay made one of the best statements that I didn't think about. Why doesn't Monty go down to 126? I know it was hard for where he was at, but at
he couldn't
120,
even make it at
but at
135.
126, what would he do there? That might be unbelievable there. So, boxing expert Dan J, it was a pleasure meeting you in the flesh. I read all your stuff, and I'm learning all the time, so I appreciate that. And everybody else that we might have forgot there, and thanks for security and all that for letting us wander around a little more, and we appreciate it. We got MMA fights coming up on the 26th.
Can't wait for that.
That's Thanksgiving Eve, and then we got December 6th. I got to at least get into our locations. We did cancel our show yesterday at River City Inn for a couple reasons. One of the main ones, Zach, I couldn't make it and get the cameras. I was in a movie with Will Smith, Concussion. I'll have to fill you in on that one. It was just a great set, seeing how movies go. Zach, you know I like watching paint dry. This was a little bit worse than that.
I told my guys all day on Monday, I said, you know what? I said, I know what he's going to, because I got paid for a full day and came in for 2 hours, and all the extras are mad at me and up in a roar at me, So I turned down the chance to be in that, because I'll make more in a day than what they try to pay me to sit around all day. But I knew the talking machine could talk and make friends and eat catered food, and he'd be good to go. So I had no fear.
They fed you?
3 times. And then at the end, they said, here, take this home with you. But that's another story. But I made friends. I made friends from the lowest to the highest people there, and it was just fantastic. They invited me back, said, what's your schedule for the rest of the week? We'll see what happens. They'll be filming until January. And it's a great story about CTE and concussions. You have to read the story. In the movie, Will Smith is not only a comedian, but when you talk about a serious actor, he has the accent of the doctor who discovered this through testing and everything. Mike Webster's family was there. I mean, it's just a sad thing for these players. There were some players and wives, that have survived this, and seeing what happened to their husbands. And, it's just a sad thing. But Will Smith did a great job. Wait till you see the movie. I can't tell you everything about it, but it's just fantastic. So, and they will be filming. If you guys are available and you want to have Pittsburgh Sportsline go down there, we'll have to see what happens. You got to fill out an app and get the information to them. Well, we're almost out of time. I wanted to talk more Steelers, but we did cover a lot of that.
Let's wrap it up with the Pittsburgh Power. We can cross them off the list. Let's also wrap it up with a little high school football.
Championship Friday is this Friday, and it's the first time in a long time that they are playing the championship games during school.
Boo.
Usually they.
I remember going to
game.
games in the city.
They usually play this game after the Friday after Thanksgiving, but because Pitt's playing on Saturday and the Steelers are playing the Thanksgiving weekend, or the Steelers are playing the Saints here. So the field's going to get ripped up this week, and for the second time in a month, the field's going to get resurfaced. They resurfaced in between the hash marks about a month ago.
Yeah.
And then after 4 games in one day, the field will be trashed.
Get AstroTurf.
What's your feeling on that? Because you're the grass guy,
What's that?
But the situation on the field, you
No
could tell, because you plant grass seed, you could tell if something takes or doesn't take.
Well, the way I've done some research on athletic field construction, and it really is very fascinating. But they bring in chunks of sod that are probably 3 feet deep, so that the stuff is already rooted.
Okay.
It's not like they're coming in there and getting the sod. You get it Home Depot.
It ain't working.
Hey, guys, I hate to interrupt this intellectual discussion on grass, because I think they should have natural turf, but that's just me. We're going to have to end the show here.
Hard on the knees.
I appreciate everybody watching. The Penguins were winning 1-0. I got the report from Devin Shea, so good luck, Penguins. We're going to be at Duke's Rib House and Grill next week. Johnny Angel and the Halos. Johnny Angel will be there. Steve Cunningham, with his daughter needs a heart transplant, will be there. Come check us out. Duke's Rib House and Grill. Drive safely. Have a nice night. Stay warm.